Hi, I'm Jeff Hunt with Dunes Real Estate here on Hilton Head. Just wanted to touch base with you guys today. I know a lot of you have been calling, asking about the new tax bills that you've gotten recently, and thought we'd kind of go through a little 2-minute drill here for you sports fans. I got Brett Pruse with McNair Law Firm, who's going to kind of try to work through this with us and explain some of these numbers on this form here. Can you help us out with that, Brett?
Sure. So most Beaufort County taxpayers received a reassessment notice in the mailbox, and essentially the tax assessor is reassessing the market value of all properties, and those will be updated in this year's tax bills.
So this first number, market value, is that what their house is worth?
It's supposed to be what the house is worth as of December 31st, 2017, and I think that every homeowner ought to look at that, ought to look at whether or not that's reasonable, and then ought to move pretty quickly over to the right-hand side of that form to see both the capped value and the taxable value, which is what the bill will really be calculated.
So that's more of what they're paying on right there, that second number, that taxable value.
Correct, the taxable value, and the homeowner ought to look at the taxable value and say, is that consistent with what my property is worth? And the answer to that question really dictates whether or not any further activity is necessary.
So as far as further activity goes, do you recommend that somebody appeal this process?
I think people need to look into it further, and an appeal should only be filed after they've done their due diligence in terms of talking to a realtor, getting an appraisal. A taxpayer really needs to have good basis to believe that they're going to win their appeal for it to be worth the effort and potential expense of moving forward with that process.
Right, because there is some expense. I assume they would need an appraisal, possibly legal counsel as well.
Correct, and there's some risk that their property tax bill can go up. So it's not worth arguing about $50 in savings. A taxpayer wants to have a pretty good basis to believe that their assessment is inequitable and that they have a good chance of winning.
Right. So if they spend $500 on an appraisal and another $500 on an attorney, they're $1,000 into it, and they're going to save a couple $100.
Potentially, that's right. Yeah, you absolutely want to do the business analysis as to whether or not it's worth the exercise.
Sure. One more quick question. This number at the bottom right, people have been asking me about that, the total assessment number.
Sure.
It's a pretty big number.
It is, and they need not be fearful. That's the product of multiplying the taxable value by their assessment ratio. And then from there, they're going to, in calculating the tax bill, the treasurer multiplies the total assessment by a millage rate to calculate liability. And I think it probably makes sense for taxpayers looking at this level of detail to go online to Beaufort County's online tax calculator, and it's still fixed to 2017 millage rates, but plugging in the taxable value, their rate, will give property owners a pretty good estimate.
It'll get them in the ballpark of where their taxes will probably be.
It'll help them figure out whether or not they really need to be concerned about this. That's right. And in most instances, the answer is no.
Great. Well, thank you, Brett. I really appreciate that. I hope that was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to call myself or Brett or your local realtor. Always worth looking into. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.